Okay. Hello.
Hey,
Hi, Jerome. It's so nice to see you.
great to see you. Great to feel you. Great to hear you as well, Ezra.
I hope you're having a beautiful day over in Texas, right?
Yeah, and greetings from Turkey. Am I right?
Yeah, it's like chilly here, so I'm here in my little blanket.
You snuggling up? You
No,
snuggle?
I'm so cozy. Yeah, it's supposed to be getting warmer, but yeah, I'm not really getting any signs of it anytime soon.
Okay. Is it usually snuggle season in Turkey, or does it get hot over there sometimes?
So I'm surprised because it's supposed to be much warmer around this time. And it was getting warmer, but today it's been a lot of rain and cold and shivers, so I'm like, I just want to stay cozy.
What's some of your favorite things to do on like rainy days, like when it's really rainy and kind of messy and wet outside? What do you
You
enjoy
know
doing
what?
inside?
I actually really detested it before because I'm just the tropical girl. Like, I just want to be where the sun is. I need to have that vitamin D. And I would resist it so much, like earlier in my life. But I've really come to like enjoy it actually because I really enjoy just sitting inside and like reading and just being in hermit mode. I guess it's like, I don't know, I really enjoy that. So I've been doing a lot of reading and stuff like that recently. Um,
Awesome. So you
and
are busy.
actually,
Go
say
ahead.
again. I actually just saw from your stories that you've been into some Hilton Hotema, and I've been reading his books like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I was just about to ask, since you are a big reader, because I saw the Toxemia, there was a PDF that you had as well, and with Hilton Hotema, man's higher consciousness, that blew me away. That blew me
Yeah.
away the first time I read it. So when did you get into it?
Mm. Oh, it's a long story. So I got into health about 2.5 years ago. And when I say health, I mean like true health, and how we're really meant to be living in alignment with our nature, in alignment with our physiology. And I went down a whole rabbit hole. So I started following figures like Dr. Robert Morse. You may have heard of him. He's a big figure in the health space, in the true health space, in naturopathy. And the more I learned, the more that it just blew my mind. It was a complete paradigm shift. And it actually didn't really start with reading books on health per se, because I was more into like reading kind of about universal laws. Like I was reading into the Kabbalion and like starting to just find like deeper truths of the universe that you don't really find elsewhere, right? And I ended up stumbling across Hilton Hotema when I think it was actually one of. Do you know who Eli Martyr is? He has a channel
Eli,
called Free Melon Society on
I
YouTube.
haven't, no, I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, if you're interested in Hilton Hotema, I think you might find a lot of interest in his videos as well.
Okay.
But I started following Eli Martyr on YouTube, and I was watching all of his videos, and he talked about him quite a bit.
Mm.
So that from there, I think I ended up ordering one of his books, and then I got into Man's Higher Consciousness. Consciousness, actually, that was the one. And I read a couple pages into it, and then I had to leave the book back in the Netherlands before I could finish it, before I moved back to Turkey. So I never ended up finishing it, but then I downloaded a whole bunch of other books of his off the internet, and I just got into it, and yeah, I've been going down the rabbit hole with this information ever since, and it's been very enlightening.
Yeah.
Uh,
So when you say like going down the rabbit hole, almost like like Morpheus gave Neo the option of the red pill and the blue pill,
mm,
you know, like in the Matrix, he said, how far do you want to go? Do you want to stay asleep? Okay, take the blue pill, or do you want to really wake up, take the red pill? And we know he took the red pill, and the rest, the rest is history. So when it came to Hilton Hotema, how was that an awakening for you? How was that a red pill? How was that eye opening? What did it
mm.
open you up to that you didn't know before?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I think, the first thing I really recognized, actually, I love that you made that analogy because I feel like the blue pill is almost like our mind, you know, our the consciousness, like the conditioning of our consciousness that we have, or I should say the conditioning of our mind that we have right now, which is everything from our upbringing, like everything that we've learned growing up, everything that we thought was true. And I had this conception in my mind that the medical paradigm knew everything. Like I entrusted the medical system with my life, essentially, right? But when I started experiencing issues with my health, you know, I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was 15 years old. They put me on birth control. PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, by the way, for those watching, if you know you're not familiar with it. And none of the solutions that they gave me really ever fixed my problems. Like it was just kind of band-aid fixes, you know. So I at that point I was still entrusting the medical system with my life. Like if anything happened, I would go to the doctor. If like there was an emergency, I'd go to the hospital. But there was a point in my life where it just kind of hit rock bottom, and it wasn't just like a physical thing, but it was more like an emotional, just and not feeling good in general. Like it was a really difficult time in my life, you know, and I felt like at such a low point in my life, like I had almost no hope. Like I was borderline thinking about like ending it all with my life, and it was just not like somewhere desirable for myself to be. So when you're at a point like that in your life, you're like, I could just do anything. Like I could just try anything if it's gonna get me out of this situation. It's either that or it's like basically just ending it all. Like, and I'm sorry if this is sensitive for the audience in a way. And I know it can be for some people, but it was like the dilemma between those two choices. And in that point, like you either believe in the possibility or you don't, and like it's a matter of life and death for you essentially. And a lot of people get to that point physically, you know, they're diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and they either lose all hope or they cling on to that like tiny bit of hope that they have left, right? So thankfully, I have so much gratitude for myself for like getting myself out of that like rut that I was in my life, because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. But thankfully, I chose the latter, and I went down the rabbit hole. But just clinging on to that ounce of belief, I didn't know how I was going to get myself out of there, but I just kind of started to follow my intuition a little bit, and just turn my energy inwards, I guess. And I started practicing things like meditation, for example. I did not know what meditation was about. I didn't know anything about what I was doing, but I just kind of started doing what felt good in the moment, what felt right. And I really honed in on my spirituality. And as I did that, it felt like I was being guided more in the direction of where I needed to be.
Mm.
When I look back now, I know that it was, but in the moment, it was just kind of like these glimpses that the universe, like God, was throwing into my face that I could just kind of cling on to and get myself over. So I was finding out information, about health. I was finding out information about how the universe works, like the laws that govern everything. And that that was what really got me down the rabbit hole, I should say. Like being at that rock bottom in my life was what really allowed me to go down it, because I don't think I would have been able to keep my mind open to it otherwise if I wasn't at that rock bottom. Because if I was comfortable, if I was just living my life and kind of content, maybe not thriving, but just content with the way things are, I would have never been compelled to take that route, if that makes sense. I would have never had the incentive to. So yeah, in a way, it was my blessing in disguise to be there, to be at that point. And I'm really thankful. And I've learned so much. I've learned so much. I love studying about it now. I love learning new things and just recognizing how much I actually don't know as I learn even more. It's just the most mind-blowing thing. And it also just puts so much love in your heart, to recognize just how beautifully everything works in the world, just how beautifully everything comes together as like this one great masterpiece. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question.
Yeah,
Like that was really long.
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, thank you for your vulnerability. Like, thank you for sharing that testimony. That is so powerful. And I'm glad you're still here. You know,
Thank
you're still here.
you.
Like, I
I'm
can only
so
imagine, what you had to muster or what you had to find within you during that situation. Because can you pronounce it again, Ezra? You said polyvariant or polycystic ovarian. Can you say that again?
polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's basically a condition where, to explain it in medical terms, I guess, like there are cysts in your ovaries that just happen out of nowhere. But in reality, it's just a buildup of toxemia, and your body tries to encapsulate this toxemia in cysts in lesser, less vital organs, because if it didn't, maybe that toxemia would go to your heart, it would go to your lungs, places where, but it puts you in a much more vulnerable and dangerous situation. So yeah, I'm thankful for that diagnosis in a way. I'm thankful for like all the things that I've experienced, because if our bodies weren't doing these things, if they weren't exhibiting symptoms, maybe we wouldn't be able to live as long as we did. If my body wasn't encapsulating those cysts, encapsulating that toxicity in the form of cysts, maybe it would have gone over to my heart or like somewhere else, and it would have killed me or something. I don't know, like God forbid, but but yeah, it just makes me recognize just how like my body has always been doing incredible things for me, and yeah, it's just
Absolutely amazing. And that's incredible. I love your perspective. I love your gratitude. I love the way that you reframe and reclaim. Like you say, I'm so happy that I have a body that that protects me enough, that loves me enough, that it's able to encapsulate, that it's able to cover, that it's able to hold the toxins and not let it spread throughout other areas of my body, that it's able to, keep it held down and hold the fort,
it's
That's
such
amazing.
a beautiful thing. Like it's so incredible. Like even if you have even now, like sometimes when I get like a pimple or something, I used to look at that in the mirror and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I need to cover that up. It's so ugly or whatever, and just like talking down on it. But this is your body doing things for you. Like it's just the most beautiful thing. And it took such a long time for me to get to that point of appreciation. Like just not, I guess deep down I always knew, but like on a surface level, you can let fear sometimes just, come into your space, and that's okay. Like your fears just show you where you kind of need to work a little bit, to trust a little bit.
Right?
So
Trusting
yeah,
in faith, trusting in, like,
exactly.
you know,
Exactly. How did you get into Hotama, by the way? I saw you're into breatharianism and stuff like this, and I love talking about all these topics. So I'd love to hear from you, like how you got into all of it.
absolutely. So I first got into Hilton's books specifically back in 2020. That's when I started reading, because that's when I did my first pranic retreat with one of my mentors. His name is Elitam Elamin, and we did our retreat together. It was like 9 days with us. And before I went into the retreat, I was 5 days dry. And I went into the retreat 9 days and then came out, and I was dry when I came out. So I was dry when I went in and I was dry when I came out. So
Okay.
it was around a couple weeks where, no calories, I wasn't consuming anything, nothing came in my body. And it
Wow.
blew me away. It blew me away because every day all we did was, we meditated, we exercised, we worked the energy, we walked around, we talked, and we just had healthy conversations like this, nourishing conversations, and that elevation of energy and the vibration of energy of everyone that was around us at that time. I think that synergy really kind of held me in that container, and
Hmm.
it showed me what was possible. Now with the book, that opened my mind to to let go of a lot of things. It was like unlearning.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of programs that had been installed, in the files in the computer. I had to click on that and drag that over to the recycle bin and click on this and drag that over and then empty. I had to empty the trash. There was a lot in the cache. There was a lot of files that were taken
Mm.
up, and I had to make room for something new, for something completely different. It just took a lot of deprogramming to reprogram in that way. And Hilton Hotima was what helped me on that journey. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They're very, very revolutionary books. Like, I haven't, I mean, maybe I will in the future, but I haven't come across many authors like him. And I've been doing a lot of digging.
Mm.
And you say you were 5 days dry before the retreat, and then, or 9 days after, or during the retreat, right?
So
By dry,
mhm.
mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
By dry, do you mean dry
Yeah,
fasting? So no
yes,
food, no water.
exactly,
Wow, that's incredible.
exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of me like testing myself, like Neo in the Matrix. I was checking. They call it checking, like you're checking your perceived limitations.
Hmm.
You know, like when Neo was in a. You've seen the Matrix?
I have like
Okay,
three
okay. I
times.
just want to make sure.
I'm hoping.
No,
I
before we
love
go
that
further,
movie so much. I can
right?
watch it anytime, anywhere.
That's the movie I've seen the most out of all movies.
Mm,
It's still my favorite of all time. So I've seen it hundreds of times. But when there was a scene in the dojo, Morpheus was opening Neo up to like possibilities. He was showing him, hey, in this realm, like things aren't like you think they are.
mm,
They you're much more than you think you are. You know, so there was a moment where they were fighting each other, and he was like, "Come on, like stop trying to hit me and hit me. You're faster than this. You're stronger than this. You're smarter than this." He was building him up with affirmations, right, in the dojo. And there was a point where Neo was on the ground and he was panting, his breath, he was breathing, and his heart was palpitating. And Morpheus, he asked him something that was so challenging, just for you to, even the viewer, even the watcher, to understand what he was saying. He was like, you think that's air you're breathing, right? Like you think you're breathing air right now? And it was like Neo paused and he questioned his own
mm,
belief. Like, what makes me think that that's what's actually happening?
yeah.
But what if
Mm,
this is just an auto response? What if this is all my mind? Like you read the Kabbalion, all is mental, right? All is mind. So there's so many things in the Kabbalion that also revealed to me when it comes to the law of polarity, when it comes to the law of cause and effect. You said that,
mm,
with PCOS, you said it came out of nowhere, but then you said, well, it wasn't out of nowhere. Like there was a cause and then there was an effect. So that's kind of ownership with kind of like that natural law, you
mm,
know?
mm.
So yeah, these were things that it just inspires you. It inspires you, it empowers you, it enlightens you, and it enthuses you with the knowing that you can still be growing. That there's so many places that you could be going.
Mm. I love that. There's so much that we don't know, and that could either scare you or it could inspire you because, it gives you a lot more incentive to keep learning, to keep digging, to keep unlearning, to keep unconditioning this conditioned mind that we have and to bring it back into our hearts where, our soul is, where we're really infinite and not limited by our bodies, by our minds. And actually, you said something interesting because you said it empowers you, but I feel like, a lot of people really struggle to take that step, to take the responsibility, because the second you take responsibility, you do empower yourself because now you have the power to change it. When you see where you might have misstepped or where you might have gone wrong or where you might have inflicted that pain onto yourself, now you have the power to potentially change it. Like even if you don't know exactly what to do, it's something that you recognize is something you created, so you can uncreate that or you can create something else. So what is that distinction? Do you feel that, like, is it courage? Like, is it something else? Like, what allows you, do you feel, to like to have the courage to take responsibility, to like empower yourself, you know? Because that's what I see around me. Like, a lot of people are stuck because they don't want to take responsibility for their missteps, potentially, or they're just, you know, stuck in another belief of sorts. And I think I was there as well, and maybe you were there previously in
Mhm.
parts of your life. So,
Yeah,
what, yeah.
I was definitely there. I was there for, I would say, the majority, of
Mm-hmm.
my life there in the realm of, inaction, inactivity, non-belief, low self-image, low self-esteem, low self-worthiness. And
Mm-hmm.
they say that responsibility is the response to the ability, you know? Like we have the ability, so we must respond to the ability. That's taking ownership, taking, accountability. You can't always count on everyone else, but accountability says you can at least count on yourself. At
Mm-hmm.
least you can look in the mirror, look at you and say, you know it happens to me because of me. If it will be up to me, right? That was what I had to say for myself for all those years. I had to come to a level of acceptance, a level of appreciation, a level of, saying, okay, I can't blame myself. I can't shame myself. I can't fall into the guilt frequencies, that
Mm-hmm.
downward spiral that kept me going back and forth when I was binging. There were cycles of binging even after, I started this journey. That the judgment, the harsh judgment, the harsh criticism of myself kept me going down and down and down. It just, there was no end. It was a bottomless pit. It was like an abyss and you're just falling. You're just falling. There's nothing to hold on to, you know? And the only thing that got me out, that had me on the upward trend, was self love. I had to look at myself and say, Jerome, I love you now, you know, not when things change, not when you feel better, not when,
Yeah.
everything, your surroundings, like now in the moment. And that was healing for me, to be able to say that. So, but coming from procrastination and all sorts of frustration, the only way that I had to move forward, or the only way that I finally brought about that change in my life, was when I went through a lot of pain in my life. Not necessarily physical pain, you know, but emotional, the emotional weight, the emotional torture and turmoil of the tearing down of my relationships, the disintegration of, like, having somebody with you who you think you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and then becoming roommates with that person. Like, the love is gone, the fire is gone, the
Mm.
the emotion, like that, all that intensity, like the things that were there at one time, they're just gone. And instead of blaming and living in regret, you you say, okay, that happened, but now what's next? What can I do about this now? Since I can't live in the past, I can't, the future hasn't happened. What if the best is yet to come? You know, what if something brighter, something more amazing, what if it made room for something that I have no idea is coming for me? What if this is a lesson or a blessing in disguise, right? So you don't stay down, you allow yourself to rise. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. You know, it actually struck a chord because that was the exact revelation I had yesterday, just
Oh,
yesterday.
whoa.
Really, because I was just I was sitting, and I was just sitting down, like, just kind of meditating in this meditative state. And I knew, like, I wasn't feeling very well, just kind of a lot of emotions coming up. And shame, like guilt, like all these emotions out of nowhere. And I didn't know what to do with it, you know. And I realized, like, anytime I didn't know what to do with like a difficult emotion, my instinct was to kind of run from that. Like whether it was through food, through scrolling on social media, like going on YouTube and even like putting on like a self-help podcast or something or reading a self-help book, like hoping that that's going to magically fix my problem. But what I never did, I realized, was to actually sit with that and to love that emotion so much until it transmuted into something else. And I was like, what if I just sit here and I just tell myself that I love you right now? Like, even though you're feeling all of this, like, really uncomfortable stuff that's coming up, like, what if I just sit there and I'm like, I love you. I love your fears. Like, I love your awkwardness, like whatever you're feeling right now, I love all of that. Because we can't, like, you know, we all want this beautiful relationship. We all want this, like, we all want people to come and love us and like support us and bring us through our darkness when we're feeling those low moments. But how can we even accept that? How can we even be receptive to that when we're not giving that to ourselves? When we're running away from those emotions ourselves? Like how can we accept people's love for us, even if they are showing us love? Like, how are we going to see that if we can't see that for ourselves, you know? So it was just like, I have, like, I'm not that much into breath work, actually, and I would love to learn about it because yesterday, when I was going through all of that, I just started breathing. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just started breathing really deeply. And all of a sudden, like, all these tears poured out of me out of nowhere. And I was like, what is going on? But it feels so, so good because I just felt this, like, immense love in my heart for everything that I was going through and everything that I've been through and everything that I carried myself through. And it was just like this really overwhelming sensation. And I love that you just touched on that because that was a revelation I had yesterday after 2.5 years of being on this like self-discovery journey. Better late than never, but I'm so glad that that like came across and I experienced that. And I feel like it's almost something that we do need to go through because like when you're going through all those low moments, like if you're watching this and you're at a low moment right now in your life, um, it's almost necessary, like it's almost something that needs to happen for you to be able to recognize that you can give yourself that love, you know? So it's just such a beautiful thing, I think, when you're able to recognize that, because that's I'm like I'm reading all about this like alchemy, transmutation, like how the universe works, and I'd never like sat here and thought about loving myself back to like feeling well and you know feeling okay. Um,
Yeah,
so thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful.
absolutely. And you know, the way that you put it too, Ezra, is beautiful. You know, loving yourself back. Like your body already loves you.
Mm,
You know? It loves you. You know, love it back. You're loving yourself back. You know, you're giving yourself back that same love that you've had since the beginning. You know, since day one, since day
yeah,
one. Even as we're talking, like even as we're having this conversation, like our heart is beating. You know, our liver, our gallbladder, our stomach, our spleen, our pancreas, our kidneys, our body is functioning on levels that would blow our mind. Like it's beyond our own comprehension. We have no idea,
exactly.
you know?
The
It loves
divine
us.
intelligence, baby. It's so incredible.
Yeah. It,
Beyond what we can even fathom. It's insane. I
yeah,
love it.
it's amazing. And you know, I love that you put out positive messages that encourage people to adopt that perspective of the body is the healer. There was a post you put and you said, you know, what's the number one healing for your body? You know, it's not the pharmaceuticals, it's not the meds, it's not the over top the counter drugs, it's not this, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this, it's not that. Guess what it is? It's you.
Yeah, exactly. It's been you all along.
You. It's you. I was like, you know,
Yeah, it's so because we externalize our power all the time. Like, you know, it's the fruits that will heal me. Oh my gosh, even in the natural healing space, it's like you know, it's this herb or it's this fruit. Like what do I eat that's gonna heal me? But it's like it's you. Like you just need to like allow your body and trust it and allow whatever higher force is causing for that to operate with this like divine intelligence, infinite intelligence, some kind of intelligence that you can't even fathom with your limited mind. Like just allow it to do its works and it will all be okay. And it's just that feeling of surrender. Also, it just takes the burden off of your shoulders from like having to do and think about everything. And from how, actually, I'm curious, how often do you practice fasting? Or do you like adopt a breatharian way of living regularly? Like, what is your philosophy around it? I'm curious.
Yeah. So you said it. So you said it. So now it's crossed into, it's no longer fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Now it becomes something we call pranic living, you know, like the energy that is always giving. Now it feels like pranic living, you know, the energy in nature, the energy in the air that I wasn't even aware that was always there, you know. So with what I do every day, you know, with breathing, with qigong, with exercise, moving the body, the emotions and the energy in motion, and then I live on liquids.
Mm-hmm.
So the last time that I had solid food was back in May of 2022. So it's been almost 2 years, almost 2 full years now with no solids. But for me, it doesn't feel like fasting. You know, it feels like this is a new normal, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like back when when I was having, rotisseries and macaroni and cheese and spaghettis and linguinis and angel hair and like all of these, ramen noodles, and that was a normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was my, I set the bar. And for me, that's pretty far. I set the bar, you know? So constipation was normal for me, indigestion was normal for me, upset stomach, diarrhea, like all the Pepto-Bismol commercial things, like that was all my normal. I set the bar. That was my standard, so that was my standard of consumption. So that was my standard for my body. That was my form of creation. That's how I utilized the energy, So that was the cause and effect, right? The Kabbalion going back.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in that cause and effect cycle, never knowing that I didn't have to feel all these negative effects if I just removed the cause. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know how many years, Ezra? You know how many years it took me to realize the correlation, to make the connection with the ways that I felt and what I was putting in my body.
How
Like,
many?
do you know how many?
I'm assuming a long, long time by the way you're
Yeah,
asking that question.
yeah. Like when I was opening up to this awareness, it blew me away. It was like, you mean that I had the choice this whole time? And I was choosing, whether consciously or unconsciously, I was choosing this and thinking that this was my fate. I think there's a quote like, if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your whole life. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll call it fate. You'll call it
Exactly.
fate, you know? So that was what I was calling fate. I said, hey, I guess this is the way it is. I guess this is just how things are. I guess I'm just, you know? And everyone around me was doing the same. Everyone around me was eating the same. Everyone around me was feeling the same. So there was no, but when I saw that someone was living differently, when I witnessed people operating differently, it was a standout. They stuck out, it showed me, it's like, oh, like back in the day, I'm sure when someone wasn't eating animals, like veganism back in the day, I'm sure they thought you were crazy. Like you've lost it. What are you talking about? You don't eat animals? Where are you gonna get your protein? What's how are you still alive? Right? They thought you were crazy just to stop consuming animals. They thought you've lost it. So now today, with the way that I live now, I just go into the grocery store, I grab my juice, and I go out, and nobody knows. Nobody, nobody knows. You know, they just think, So it's like if you don't know that a program exists, it's almost like you can't download it because you
Mm-hmm.
don't even know that the possibility. is there. So this, I feel this lifestyle for me, more than anything, it's become a level of awareness. You know, if I didn't even know that something was possible, how could I achieve it? You know, how could, if I didn't even know I could draw energy, how could I receive it? So thank you for these questions. You know, it's not often that I to answer like
Thank you.
so
Thank you for your answers. I'm really inspired. I have recently been into fasting as well. Also inspired by Hilton Hotima, and it's almost like a detachment from your flesh. Like you don't, when you starve this, your body, when you starve your senses, your taste buds, when you starve your vision, even like when you're sitting down in meditation, like you're able to focus on something that's much beyond, far beyond the senses, which is the soul, which is, the thing that's connected to the spirit of all. And it's just fasting and frugal eating, surviving off of prana, thriving off of prana. Like I think I really feel that, I really feel that more people need to learn about it, to discover it. So thank you very much for everything that you do on this platform, and thank you very much for sharing your message. I'm really happy that I can be the one that's asking you these questions. My mom just joined the live. I saw she's been into fasting as well recently.
awesome.
Um,
Shout out to
so
your mom. What's her name?
Guzin.
Gizin?
Guzin. Guzin.
Let, thanks for
Thank you so much, Jerome. I don't know how much more. Oh, whoops. Am I still
yeah,
here? Okay,
yeah, we're still here.
okay. It cut off for a bit. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I do need to go, but I really, really enjoyed our conversation. And just thank you for sharing your magic. Thank you for sharing your light. Keep doing what you do. And actually, I am interested in joining one of your Qigong sessions. I don't know about it. I haven't learned about it yet, but I'd love to find out more about it.
Yeah,
Um,
we'd love to have you there. You know, we'd love to have you. Yeah, share your energy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So if
beautiful.
you want to join, like you said, if you want to learn more about it, the hour before, so it's 11 for me now, so 10 o'clock for me. Whatever
Hmm.
time that was for you, the last hour, that's when we do it every day.
Okay,
So join us live every day. Or if you catch it live, there's replays. The first link in my bio, you'll find replays there for Qigong. So yeah, we'd love to have you.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Uh,
Okay, thanks to everyone that tuned in as well. Thanks, Mom. And I'll see you soon. Thank you, Jerome.
take care.
Take care. Bye bye.